design and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleburne, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleburne, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio. Welcome to the Her Show, Home Experience Radio, with your host, Trina Titus Lozano. This is a live call-in show that takes your calls and questions about marriage, family, and personal relationships. She's a licensed and ordained pastoral counselor, author, international conference speaker, wife, mom, and grandmother. She's been counseling and teaching vital relationship skills for over 30 years. Trina is real and relational and reveals strong truths spoken in tough love and common sense. Join us on the studio line now at 817-637-2585. And now, here's Trina.
Hello, everybody. Yes, please join me on the studio line, 817-637-2585. I'm Trina Titus Lozano, pastoral counselor, licensed and ordained Christian minister, and I'm currently working at First Light Counseling in South Lake. So if you need a full session or a double session, please just look up firstlight.co, firstlight.co. And I'll be happy to help you if you need a full session. So I'd be happy to do that. But if you want some free counseling today, give me a call right here on the studio line, 817-637-2585. We are looking forward to the holidays. Happy Thanksgiving week. And you know, it's amazing because an attitude of gratitude can literally turn any situation around. We cannot control what is happening around us, but we can control what is happening in us. Have you ever noticed that life is either external or internal, and it's a combination of both? And when we are able to change our attitude and see a situation with a different perspective, if we could find something to be grateful for, then it will really make the biggest impact in our own lives and in the lives of the people around us. So this is a great week to practice this and to do it and to be able to reap the benefits of changing your attitude to one of gratitude. So, all right, guys, I want to just open up today by saying, if you are if you are afraid of criticism, I want you to conquer that fear, okay? So if you are hosting Thanksgiving, if you are hosting relatives that you have not been around for a while, there's a chance that maybe there will be a dig here and there. You know what I mean by that? When somebody just makes a little comment and you're like, that really hurt. You know, if you embrace that and you say, okay, this is an opportunity for growth. The criticism, nobody likes it. It's so hard. But Proverbs actually says that it is wisdom to embrace criticism. And it's interesting also because in psychology, when we look at the necessity for emotional intelligence, step one for EQ, step one for that emotional intelligence is that we are able to have good self-awareness. Well, guess how you get self-awareness? It is by embracing criticism, embracing feedback. Hopefully, people are not being mean when they are giving you feedback, but even if they are, my grandma says, I have the ability to turn an insult into a compliment. And I love that. She could just sort of turn it around and learn from it. And it really is important that we are able to do that. So don't be afraid of criticism. I think that is a fear that really grips so many people. And it's because when you listen to somebody else's criticism, you really let it impact your identity. And at the core of your identity, it just makes you feel full of shame and like you're not good enough, which is probably what you're thinking already. So you certainly don't want the confirmation that you're not good enough. But you know what? If you embrace it as an opportunity for growth and you put on that growth mindset, then you're able to say, all right, thank you for that. I'm going to use this as an opportunity for growth and I'm going to embrace your feedback. And so that's what I want y'all to do. Just put that in your back pocket because you might need it on Thanksgiving Day. Okay, give me a call if you'd like to talk to me in the studio today. 817-637-2585. Oh, Jasmine, are you on the line with me right now? Hello, Jasmine, you there? Oh gosh, I can't hear her. Maybe see. Hold on, let me see. Oh, Jasmine, are you there? Oh, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, I could not hear you for a minute. I just noticed that it was muted. So I was like, oh, unmute. There we are. There you are. Okay, girl. So thank you for calling in today. How can I help?
Yes. So my question is, I am currently separated from my husband, and we haven't seen each other in about a month and a half. We are co-parenting, and everything has been via text. Our divorce is scheduled for March. And with Thanksgiving coming up this Thursday, I am not sure if I should kind of put my pride aside. I don't know if it's pride or security or protection of my heart. But yeah, I would love your insight and your wisdom as to what are your thoughts on allowing him to be part of that. Actually cause more division in the long run because we haven't been on talking terms. And yeah.
Well, I have a few different schools of thought. And, these kinds of situations, Jasmine, are not black and white. They really aren't. There's not just a rule book. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a rule book that said, okay, this is how you go through separation and divorce, right? And
Yeah.
just by the way that you're talking, I am kind of guessing that he's the leaver. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay, I can tell by your tone of voice and your attitude regarding the situation. So, if he's the lever and you feel like you want to include him or that the kids would really appreciate if he was there for the Thanksgiving meal or even part of it, then I would say go ahead and extend the invitation. However, because you guys are in the process of the divorce and you are in the process of letting go. It is important that you give specific timelines, like, would you like to come eat dinner with us from 1 to 2? Where it's not the whole day. It's not just hanging out. It's not playing games and doing all this family time. It's simply the Thanksgiving meal. It's an act of kindness and generosity. He can say yes or no. You're just extending the invitation, but your children know that you extended an invitation to their dad for a meal. And I think that that is kind. However, you are in the process of getting a divorce. So it is important that things aren't just the way they've always been, or it's actually very confusing for everybody, including you and your heart, like you mentioned, and including the kids. Because then they're thinking, well, mom and dad get along really well. Why are they getting a divorce? It doesn't make any sense, right? So it's a little bit confusing. So since the divorce is part of what you are, I mean, this is an inevitable. I suppose it's the direction that you're going. You have a date. Okay, it's in March, and so since you're going this direction, he's made this decision. It's final. Then I would let there be the division that he's created, in the sense that, okay, he does his thing, we do ours. However, extending an invitation for a small portion of the day, I would say an hour, hour and a half maximum would be all that I would recommend. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, that sounds good. Now, if we were going out of town for this celebration, like an hour and a half, should I still extend that invitation?
You can. I mean, he can just say yes or no. I would extend it, and I would also, tell him the time. Just to clarify, it's not for the whole day, but if you would like to come eat the meal, we'll be eating from 1 to 2. You know. And so if he
Right.
wants to make the drive just for the meal, great. If not, that's okay too. So will the kids be able to be with you if he doesn't come?
Well, we haven't worked that out just yet. I think both of us kind of have that on the air right now. So I
Yeah.
figured because he knows that it's a day during the week.
Yes, yes. Which typically you have them during the week.
Correct.
Okay, so it would typically fall on your day. So if there's a way, now are you going to be sleeping over, or are you just making a day trip?
I think I'm just making a day trip. So what has happened in the past is we would drive there together and then we would come back together.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
So,
obviously that's not going to happen. And he may or may not want to come, but I would extend just the invitation for just the meal. And there, I think there's a good chance he's going to say no, thank you. But at least your kids know that you wanted to at least include him for the meal, or uh, and you could also have the option of taking him leftovers and bringing the kids to see him, in the whenever you get back in town, so that they at least can see him on the holiday a little bit, which I think it's good. I actually really, regardless of what the divorce settlement actually says when you're in the process of separation or the divorce, I think kids need to see both parents on holidays. I really do. And not just because of the parents missing the kids, but the kids miss the parents. Kids want to be with both their parents too. And if they're absent from one, they kind of worry about that parent. Like, oh, I hope they're not too lonely. I feel bad that they're alone. That kind of a thing. And so if the situation is good with both parents, and if there's nothing like, of course, not like supervised visits or situations like that, but if it's good, I think it's great, if at all possible, for kids to see both parents on a holiday. So if you could work out that would be my best case scenario, and then just bring him a plate of leftovers and let the kids, be with him, at whatever time it is, 8 o'clock or whatever. But that might be an option. But I definitely think that you need to think about what you think you would be most comfortable with. And if you're going out of town, is the host comfortable with having him there for a little while?
yes,
Okay. What do you think? What would you be most comfortable with?
I think that would be an appropriate approach to just have him drive himself there and then, leave a couple of hours later. I think my biggest concern was just being around him altogether because we haven't seen each other um, in a little bit over a month or had that kind of contact. So that was just my only concern.
Yeah,
You know,
and that's the
yeah.
thing. If the relationship is not hostile, it is in the best interest of the kids that the relationship isn't hostile, and that there are certain times, like the children's birthday or certain occasions, that you guys can spend an hour together. I mean, 2 hours, it gets to be a little tough. Anyone can get through an hour pretty good, with just a nice greeting, a nice hello, and just being kind and polite. Once you get to more than an hour, we hit closer to the 2 hour mark. It's kind of like, wow. It typically does your family eat on time? Like a
Uh,
specific time for the meal,
well,
or how does that work?
we eat together on a time.
Okay.
Well, do you mean lunches
Yeah, yeah.
or
No, no, no.
dinner?
For Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, it's a time, but it's not usually the time that was arranged.
That's what I mean. Like, because I don't want him just like being awkward there. Like, oh, I came at 1 to eat from 1 to 2, and oh, now the meal's not actually ready until 3, and then he's stuck there all day. Like, I wish I wasn't here.
Right,
It's
right. Yeah,
potentially
and
going to
we
be a
have
really awkward situation, but it's it's not a bad thing if you guys can stay polite in a situation like that. But it's not bad. But if you decide to invite him, I would just do maximum an hour.
okay. I think that's a great idea. Thank you so
And
much.
I
This
think
this
there's
gives
I
me a
think
lot of
there's a
peace.
okay, wait, don't get off. I gotta ask you more questions. Do you have time? Are you good?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good, because I'm still talking. Okay, so if you are sort of visualizing the situation, and you know the condition of your heart, and really obviously missing him since he was the leaver, and of course wishing that the marriage wasn't breaking up, do you think that you would have the capacity to be polite while he's there?
Yes, I think my concern would be being over polite.
Okay, just being so awkward that it's like being too nice. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I think it would be awkward, like not stepping into the role of a wife.
I think there's a good chance that if you ask him, he's gonna decline. What would you think?
I don't know,
What's your guess?
honestly. I think that, I think if it was for ourselves individually, we would both decline. But I think because we have children in between, um, there may be a possibility that he would be open to it because of them.
Mhm.
But also, I think there could be, the question mark of the unknown, of him feeling ashamed or, guilt or, I don't know. Like
What
there's just so
I'm
many question
There
marks.
is. What I'm hoping is that your relationship doesn't go to a place of, hostility, because that's so, so, so bad for the children. However, it's so painful because it's so fresh. But it's interesting because right now, while you're in the separation season and the divorce isn't finalized yet, it's this season where you've both accepted the reality that we are getting a divorce, like we're not in denial anymore. But whatever decisions you make now really set precedents for what the visitation and the holiday visitation will be after your divorce. So you
Yeah.
you do kind of want to think ahead too, and think, okay, in the future, how do I want it to be? You know? So it's kind of like you're almost you gotta be cautious because this is a time of change, big time change. How long were you married?
We were married for almost 15 years.
Oh, wow. Oh, girl, this is so
Yeah.
painful. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Yeah, and I think that the wrestling that I'm having is, initially was the perspective of I'm not going to see you probably until our children get married, which is like in 20 years. So inviting him over for Thanksgiving is just like, well, that's like
Well,
19
yeah.
years and 10 months earlier than I expected.
And it's not necessary. It really is not necessary. I mean, I want to make that clear. It is absolutely not necessary. I mean, at all. I mean, he left you. He's filed for a divorce. It is not necessary for you to ever interact with him. Like you said, until the kids have their graduation or their wedding, and you still can have very limited interaction, or you can be polite and have a little bit more interaction on special occasions like holidays and birthdays, because it's in the best interest of the kids. But the kids if they can see both parents and you can arrange that, I think that the kids are adapting to the fact that you guys aren't going to be in the same place at the same time anymore. I mean, that's what divorce is, right? And
You're right.
so, they'll accept that. They'll accept that. But it's a tough season. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I really would love for every marriage to be saved. I would love for every family to be intact, but it is just not it's just not reality. I mean, more than 50% of marriages end in divorce, and I I know that every marriage just can't be saved and won't be saved because there are human behaviors that are not compatible with marriage. And I was telling someone this the other day, and they were like, "Wait, what were those again?" Because they're the 5 A's, and this person could only think of the four. And I was like, "Okay, the 5 A's. Here's what they are: abandonment, adultery, addiction, anger, and abuse." And when one or more of these really bad behaviors are chronic in a marriage, they're repeated year after year after year, then it's just not compatible with marriage. A marriage will not survive with these things in play because it is exactly the opposite of what a marriage should be. It's not love. And all of these things are really rooted in selfishness. And of course, a lot of people talk about narcissism these days, which is complete self centered behavior, complete, like no empathy, and a complete belief that the world revolves around me and I'm right and everyone else is wrong and everybody's here to serve me. And of course, that's not compatible with marriage either. Jasmine, I always say that a healthy marriage is really, or a healthy mentality in a marriage is when you're standing at the altar. It's like two funerals and a wedding. You both are saying, okay, I'm going to die to myself here. Okay. I'm going to die to myself and basically vow to serve and love you for the rest of my life. And that is what's going to really set up a foundation for a great marriage. And if that is not the case because of narcissism or because of addiction and anger and abuse and adultery, then yeah, all of these things which are rooted in selfishness, that the marriage can't survive. And it's really, really tragic because the kids suffer. They do. They really suffer. And it's painful, mostly for the children. And it's interesting, Jasmine, because it can be generational. Did either you or
Mm.
your husband come from families that were divorced?
Yes, he actually did. He actually did come from a family of divorce. And the mentality that he is becoming aware of is that it was predominantly based on looking down on women or objectification of women and narcissism.
Ah, yeah. Yes, that misogyny, just the yeah, that male ego, that
Yes, of really looking at women like objects.
undermining the value of women. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, in order to be able to, like, it's not like even not seeing them as someone worthy to share life with. And
Interesting.
kind of just like use and dispose of, because there's no, there's no such thing as being able to become family with one. So that's just really
Wow.
interesting.
Those mindsets, they do run through generations, and you can see how that happens. So, it is important that as you are raising your children as much as you can, since now your influence will only be, you won't be with them 100% of the time as you guys have some shared custody. But your influence is going to be so important in their lives, and never put their dad down. And you probably already know this, and I know it's obvious, but never put him down. Like, help them to separate the bad behavior from his identity as their father. Help them to separate, as we say sometimes in church, the sin and the sinner. They can see that that the behavior is bad, but my dad is my dad. And I now, of course, in some situations, there's an importance to actually draw a boundary where the child isn't, has to have supervised visits or something like that. But if that's not the case, it's just important that you help the child to not become resentful and bitter and angry towards their dad, and especially for the kid to actually have a good idea of what happened. And when kids are young, you can't be specific about what exactly happened. It's too big of a burden for them to carry. But they can understand things like, we had vows and they broke the vows, and so I have to accept that. But but I don't hate him. I don't hate him, and I forgive him, and I don't want you to hate him, and I'm gonna be okay. I think it's so important for kids to hear from your mouth, "I'm gonna be okay, and we're gonna be okay. We're gonna accept this. This is his choice, and we're going to be okay." And my husband's dad, who was an alcoholic when my husband was, young, he actually became sober and died a really wonderful man, completely recovered for over 30 years at that point. But but his mom used to tell my husband and his brothers, "Your dad is a good man, but alcohol is bad. Alcohol is bad. And when he's drinking, he changes." And so, none of her boys became alcoholics. None of them. My husband isn't a drinker, and none of his brothers are either. I think one of his brothers struggled with it for a little bit, but he overcame very quickly, and it didn't become a stronghold that was long term in his life. But isn't that amazing? And I thought that was such wisdom that she said to her sons, "Alcohol is bad. Alcohol is bad." And certainly she would tell him, "Your dad's a good man," and he became a good man. I mean, he actually became what she was saying he was. And I don't think, he would come in and she would fix him dinner and love him, and just she was able to have that amazing ability to separate what he was doing and the effects of what he was doing on who he was as their dad. And they all grew up to love their dad, but to see that alcohol was bad, and that when their dad was drinking, he became a person that they couldn't be around. It wasn't safe to be with him. Isn't that interesting? So, wow, we can learn
Wow.
from these things, right? We can learn from these things, but we certainly want to uh, not ignore the reality of what is before us. And as you're going through this grieving process, Jasmine, of just really letting go of, because it's grieving not just that your marriage is over, but it's the marriage, it's the family, it's the relationship that you thought you had, it's the relationship that you never had, it's the relationship that you never will have, it's the family that you won't have. I mean, there's so much to grieve in the process of divorce recovery, and that step one is just to accept the reality, right? So that you
Right.
don't stay in a place of denial. So as you're accepting the reality, you're right. If he comes even just for a meal, whether it's at your house or at, for a holiday or something, it would be important for you to have the mindset of, he's not my husband and my reality is we are divorced. It's so, yeah, you do have to do a reality check so that you don't start to freak out. But right now, you're not used to this yet. It's still in the early phases of this. Uh since a divorce isn't final yet, but boy, that grieving process is a real thing, right? So you can expect that, and you probably are already familiar with the grieving process, but you can expect that it always begins with denial and it always ends with acceptance. So in order to recover faster, you want to push yourself to acceptance, like literally every day, remind yourself of the reality of what it is that you're going through. And of course, anger and bargaining and depression, all of these things, they're not sequential. They could be one or the other, or all three at the same time, or they just come in waves, these other emotions that are in the middle of the grief process. But girl, you're going to get through this, okay? You are going to
Thank
get
you
through
so much.
this, and I really appreciate your question. So you call me back anytime, and happy Thanksgiving. And I know that no matter what you go through, I like to think of 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18. This is my life verse, especially in times like this. Be joyful always. Give thanks in all circumstances and pray without ceasing. So, not give thanks for all circumstances, give thanks in all circumstances, right? And pray without ceasing. And that's the will of God, and that's where peace will come from. So, God bless you today, Jasmine. Thank you so much for calling, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. I
Uh,
appreciate you.
okay, call back anytime. Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am.
Stick with me. I'll be right back after the break.
Hello.
Accelerated Graphics and Signs, 101 East Renfro, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, can handle all of your graphic needs. Need a banner or promotional products for your business? They got you covered. T-shirts and caps for your group. All you need to figure out is if you want them screen printed or embroidered. How about some slick graphics on that hot ride to make you stand out from the crowd? Accelerated Graphics and Signs can handle anything you throw at them. Located at 101 East Renfro Street, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, go in and see them. Call them at 817-991-0523 or reach them on the web at www.acceleratedgraphics.net. They are loud and proud and want to serve you. Accelerated Graphics.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379 or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break, stop the stress, and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoco.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch, and the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. So simply search your store, check out our lineup and more at JocoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. So reach out to your Texas sales rep, 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. And I'm Trina Titus Lozano here with you every Monday afternoon, 2 o'clock Texas time. And I'm taking your calls to help you make your home a place of love and peace. And in order for your home atmosphere to have love and peace, and for your relationships to have love and peace, that first begins with the attitude of your own heart and your own mind. And so I'm here to help you with that. And with any dilemma that you might be having, feel free to call today. I'm taking calls 817-637-2585, and I'm happy to help on any topic. 817-637-2585. Susan, welcome to the Her Show. How are you today?
Hey, Trina, doing fabulous and well. Thank you for asking. You're talking about having peace of mind and being with your family. In my case, I am a whistleblower, and I don't believe in vaccinating the Holy Temple. And my family says we can't have relations because of how I handle, the truth.
Really?
How do you handle that when either you're not invited for holidays, or if you are invited and you're totally polarized, mask up, don't mask up, 6 feet, no 6 feet? I'm kind of taking a stance of I trust my immune system, and God tells me to have no fear. I don't live in fear.
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, Susan, I love your question. I think that's super relevant, but where are you from? Because I love your accent.
I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, actually from Jackson, Mississippi, but I'm a Bama girl, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I love your accent. It's amazing. This is surprising, Susan. I cannot believe that even this year, this is the case. I mean, I get it. The last several years, this has been going on, 2020, 2021. But by 2022, I mean, the mandates are all lifted. Are people there still wearing masks?
Yes, believe it or not, it seems like once the fake monkeypox was announced, everybody went straight into wearing masks again. I just, you have to have an N95 mask. It's just ridiculous. Hypoxia sets in and you can get sick. you try to educate people. It's like, look, you're breathing in your own waste. God does not want you to veil your face. We're not Muslims. We are created in his image.
Well,
And I
yeah.
can't get my family to understand when you do that, when you muzzle up and you take all this biotech, this is changing your DNA. It's a part of the Balaam system, and people need to realize that. And I love my family, but there's a huge separation happening.
Wow.
Huge
Okay.
separation,
Okay.
division.
So let me ask, what have you done in the past? Did you typically eat with these same people, and was it typically peaceful, like like your whole life before COVID?
Well, the 25 years that they abandoned me, I didn't have any family after mom and daddy died. But I
Oh,
spent about 3 holidays with this particular brother who
okay.
just is extremely narcissistic, non-empathetic. I have to walk on eggshells. So it's not a pleasant time, but I want family. So when
Oh
I go over
man.
there, I have to sit at the other little table. It's like I'm a little outcast. Or at
Oh.
Christmas, and when I went, everybody got a gift but me. And I'm like, wow, I really am just the black
Oh.
sheep. It really is that
Oh.
bad.
Oh, Susan, I am so sorry. That is so painful. That is so
Sure it is.
painful
And
for
you
you
just
to
swallow your
endure.
tears and go, I have to love them. But
Oh
they're
my
toxic,
goodness.
Trina.
Yeah, so actually it sounds like it wouldn't be a healthy environment for you anyway. So, gosh,
But
oh
it's
my
so
goodness.
lonely.
But it's
So
so
lonely.
lonely. I am so sorry for your pain, and
Thank you.
your parents are not here anymore. I bet you have wonderful memories of your
I do. And I
parents.
live in those. It's kind of funny. I just vicariously live through people on Facebook that, throw the festive parties. Like, oh, they remind me of my mom. So I would kind
Yeah.
of, vicariously live through people. And then I get real depressed when I see the, family pictures. I'm
Oh,
like,
I
wow, I don't have a
bet.
family picture. I have no one. So what I did as a minister, I'm an ordained minister. Before I knew that McDonald's was unhealthy, I used to go back, buy bags of hamburgers, and I actually one time saw a little lady digging in the garbage, and she had a tattered white blouse, a black skirt, and pearls. And she was digging in the garbage. And I said, ma'am, would you do the honor if I could spend Thanksgiving and give you a hamburger? And she started crying and hugged me. And I will never forget that just the woman needed a hug and needed to be seen. And she was trying to present herself, and she was homeless. And
Oh.
that touched me. I just cried and cried after that communication.
Yeah, that is really such a good experience that you've had with helping others. That really is the only cure to loneliness is to reach out and to help others. And that's where the power is. Okay, even if McDonald's hamburgers are not healthy, I mean still the gesture of having something to give them is such a neat thing. So you might want to consider doing that again. It worked for you in the past. It would work
You know
for
what I
you.
just did? I just made a turkey. There's a little thrift store down the street, and they hire a lot of addicts. So I made a turkey and just went and fed the whole crew.
Oh my
And it
gosh,
made me so
Susan. It
happy. It
made
made me so
you
happy.
it made you so happy, and it blessed them, and it made you so happy. That is so incredible. Okay, so here's the thing. On on Thanksgiving Day, if you understand that you can be alone without feeling lonely. And I think this is what the beauty of being a Christian, you said that you're a minister, is to just say, "Okay, God, I am going to acknowledge your presence here." And I'm not trying to over spiritualize or to minimize the loneliness that you feel. But I recall my grandmother, my dad's mom, and then also my grandmother who currently lives with me. Both of my grandmothers, they both were widows, for many, many years, and so they would have many meals alone because they lived alone, and they would have many meals alone, and, they would still cook for themselves and actually set the table. My grandmother sets a very pretty table by herself
I thought
in
about doing
her
that
own
this morning. I
house.
looked at my mother's
Yeah.
china. I said, you know what? I just need to set the table in memory of my mother and have a meal alone.
I think so too, I think so too, and, my grandma used to talk about the benefit of actually sitting at the table. And my mom, in our home experience book, she talks a lot about, or she actually wrote another whole book about it called The Table Experience. And then it's one chapter in our home experience book. But the benefit of sitting at a set table. And it's amazing that there's a benefit, even if you're there alone,
Was
because
holding energy. Think about
it
that. Like the Holy
is.
Spirit, even setting a place for the Holy Spirit and holding a place for Him.
It is, and that's the world doesn't even know what that means. In fact, they say something magical happens. Well, it like you say, or energy, there's energy. there's a positive vibe, but it really is the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit because you are setting a place. And I would just, Susan, I would put together a special playlist that, would be special for that day and plan the day because you are worth it. You deserve it. And I know that
Yes.
your parents aren't here with you, but imagine, and it's important to not talk to the dead because that's witchcraft.
We don't talk to the dead as Christians.
That's
That's forbidden.
necromancy, right? That's
Right.
witchcraft. However, we can talk about them and we want to remember, see, even just sitting there and think, this is what my mom would do. This is what my dad would do. And just having the absorb the beautiful memories. My grandmother, she just loves to look at pictures and just really reflect on all the wonderful memories. But so plan your day and just think about as you set your table, cook yourself a meal and sit down and plan it and enjoy it. Susan, you are worth it. You are worth
Yes.
it. Really. It's a beautiful thing. And take your time and like I said, plan it like a special playlist or something that would be special and different because you don't want to just skip over Thanksgiving because you're alone. And of course, if there's an opportunity to invite people in, I of course would recommend that, but many people wouldn't even accept an invitation these days because of what you said. It's like people can
Yeah,
just be so.
COVID, mask up,
I
yeah.
know
And
it
what do you do
changes.
if you have different beliefs, if you are with your families and one is kind of a awakened soul and the other one is maybe more, leaning left and you know what I'm saying.
Well, the proverb says that you seek to understand. So when you are sitting around a table with people who have differing opinions, and we are all very opinionated in my household, and I bet your
Yes.
household is too, the way you describe yourself and your brother. I'm sure that there's lots of opinions, and you two are probably have very strong personalities and strong opinions. Okay, so the way to not have conflict is to seek to understand. So you want to be a listener first, and hopefully these conversations will not come up because if everybody has pretty good social skills, they're not going to talk about religion and politics at a holiday meal. Like they're just
Right.
not. That's not good social skills. But if they do and they start, blabbing their opinion, which you completely disagree with, before you just give your rebuttal and your argument, and this takes a lot of self-control because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just interrupt, actually be like, hey,
Sure.
hold on. That's not even true. You're going to want to do that. But
Yeah,
just
I'm a CDC whistleblower. I see the raw data. I know the things going behind the stage, and I couldn't even stop my own brother from getting the bioweapon. I'm
see,
like, wow, I couldn't even convince my own family.
and
And then I
that's
had a
true.
brother that was vented and I believe murdered, but he died. So it's been
Oh,
very,
no, that's
very
so sad.
grieving.
Yeah, so it's very grieving. So of course this is a trigger for you because there's all this stuff and you've been trying to tell him your truth and he's not listening to you. But the best thing is to seek to understand them, and then when they finish talking at some point, then because if they're hosting you, it's in their home, then you politely say, is could I have an opportunity to tell you what I've learned? And then
Right.
and they're going to probably say no. And if they say no, just say, okay, because they're not listening anyway. So what's the point? Because the point is we're trying to have connection. We're trying to have relationship. We're trying to set aside our differences for the sake of togetherness for the holiday. But, if it comes up, if you seek to listen and understand first, then if they have any sort of social skills or manners, then they will say, so that's my opinion. What's yours? And then you'll have an
Right.
opportunity. But it's all in the delivery too, because I can hear the passion in your voice. And boy, people who disagree with us, they just don't appreciate our passion, do they?
No, they don't. I'm
Uh-uh.
trying to save kids and save humanity. I mean, it's something I take very seriously. I mean, it's my passion. It's why I was anointed and really, I believe, born was to fight for the, children.
I can hear that passion in your voice. So along with this passion comes persecution, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's right. And
They
especially
hated Jesus. I mean, are we supposed to be any better than Jesus? If they hate us, we're doing something right.
yeah, probably. But here's the thing is of course, if you feel called to, and you definitely do, to use your voice, to use your passion, to try to open the eyes of people, to do your best to at least get the truth out there, which is it's getting to be increasingly more difficult with the way that our nation has really locked down and there's not the freedom of speech that there used to be. So it's just it's complicated and it's difficult. But Proverbs says that you want to use your voice, but it is wisdom at times to be silent. So you have to know, okay, is it wisdom to be a whistleblower right now? Yes. Is it wisdom to be silent in this situation? Yes, because there's a time to speak and there's a time to be silent. That's what Ecclesiastes says. But whenever we are wanting to build relationships, we've really got to use our emotional intelligence, use the skills of social awareness to think, okay, are they listening? Once you have their attention, then you speak the truth, and hopefully it will make a difference, like you said, because you've got their attention. So I think as a whistleblower, as you call yourself, you want to blow in the right place at the right time so that you have the best chance of it being effective.
Right.
Yeah, and so look at your history and think of the times where you have been effective sharing the truth, what the time and the situation was where you've been effective and you actually were able to make an impact and people learned something because they were wanted to learn and they were able to gain a lot of knowledge from you. And then think about the times where you were doing it and nobody learned and said they were only just persecuting you. So I think and Jesus did that. Jesus was very clever in the way that sometimes he spoke and sometimes he didn't. Sometimes they sort of set him up to, to persecute him by trying to manipulate him into a conversation that would be volatile or that would be controversial. And sometimes he was like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and step right into this, and other times he was like, not going to really step right into this, I'm going to step around it. So he just had so much wisdom in the way that he responded. And then sometimes he responded with less words, like, who do you say that I am, kind of thing. And he said, I am. He was just very. He didn't always just give all of his information all the time about who he was. He just sort of, who are you? Well, who do you say that I am? Where he was clever. He was clever. So I just encourage you, be clever and be really. I think that you're probably strategic, but I encourage you. The more clever, the more strategic you can be, I think the bigger impact that you'll make in the world. And
All
that's clearly
right.
what you want
Well,
to
I
do.
just had an officer come up because I have an incident. So I really appreciate your information. I love the Her Show, Trina. I ask that God blesses you in your media career and you're making an impact, sister.
Oh, Susan, thank you so much. And another thing I want to tell you, if you could stay with me just a minute longer, I want to just encourage you as you move forward with the calling that God has on you, whether it is to feed the homeless or whether it's to find a way to reconnect with your family, or whether it's to be a whistleblower and a truth teller in a way that would really impact the world. Here's the thing is do it with courage, because
Yes.
I think that fear is what really will grip people. Fear of criticism, fear of persecution, fear of rejection,
Right.
fear
Right.
of being taken advantage of. And just fearing for your safety, with the
Yes.
kinds of things that
Yes.
you do, people can come
Yeah,
at
that's why
you.
I have a police officer here. If someone stopped, broke in my car, and stole my weapon. So yeah, I've had some
Yeah.
persecution.
So and here's what I want to encourage you. Even though this is you are walking literally in this place of having to have so much courage to do it, just remind yourself it's okay to be afraid, but don't let that fear become a spirit of fear where it really grips you. Because here's the blessing of, if we understand fear, is when we understand fear and we allow it to motivate us rather than to stop us, you can have courage through any fear producing situation. And
Right.
and so you just keep walking, and you know that God is walking with you, because you are not alone. He is walking with you. He is going to walk with you through the valley of shadow of death, so that you will fear
Yeah.
no evil. And in this world, of course, we see death all around us, because that's what Satan comes to do. As like you're talking about with the weapons of mass destruction here, is he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Right?
Yeah.
John 10:10.
Yes.
But Jesus came that we might have life and have life more abundantly. That's right. So as you are choosing to walk in life and life more abundantly, you know the tools of the enemy, so you can walk through this valley of shadow of death without feeling afraid of the evil. Because the truth is that the evil can't touch you unless it's part of God's plan. And even if it was, then it would only be for a short season, kind of like Job. And then there would be a greater purpose. So, God can be trusted. You're his daughter. He is your father, and he's a good father. And listen, he loves you so much, and he is so proud of the work that you're doing, because you are passionate and you're not being silenced and you're making a difference. So I just encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Okay, girl?
All right. Thank you so much. God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving to all your callers. Thank y'all. Everything. Happy holidays. God's got y'all.
Oh, you're precious, Susan. Thank you. Thank you.
Uh,
And go Bama,
all
right?
Go, Bama. Have a great show. Love y'all.
God bless you.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Uh-huh.
So that was Susan. I just appreciate her call. And that's really a great question there, because a lot of people just don't have Thanksgiving plans. So if that would be you also, I hope that you take that advice to heart and try to understand the difference between being alone and lonely. The way that my grandma says it is, she says, I'm not lonely because I like myself. I like myself. And so she gets up every day and she sets her table and cooks herself a meal, and she dresses up with jewelry and fixes her hair and puts on her makeup, even if she's home alone, even when no one else will see her, even if, why? Because she values herself. And she says, and I always have a good attitude because I don't want to hang out with a grump. And she's talking about herself. She'll be 100 in August next year. And I tell you, there's so much wisdom from her. But this is so important, you guys, to be able to have an attitude of gratitude and to be able to value your life. And if you are alone, try to at least invite guests. I always tell people, separate your goals and desires. It is your goal to you anything that is a goal, you have to be able to take full responsibility for. You decide it, you determine it, you can write it down, you can check it off the list. Okay. In other words, it requires no cooperation from somebody else. Everything that requires cooperation from somebody else is a desire. It's not a goal. And as we go through life, we certainly figure out there is a lot of people that are not cooperative. And so if they're not, we've got to let those things go. We cannot control other people. We cannot force anyone to or guilt trip anyone or manipulate anyone to have a relationship with us or to invite us to Thanksgiving dinner. If they don't want to invite you, they won't invite you. It's your desire to be invited, okay, to join a home or a family for Thanksgiving dinner. But it is your goal to cook your own Thanksgiving dinner. It's your goal to invite other people. It's your goal to set the table. If other people come, would be a desire, because that would be them cooperating to receive an invitation. So at the end of the day, if you've done everything you can do to try to create a Thanksgiving party, all you can do is make it a goal to change your attitude to say, I'm going to have a great day, even if I'm by myself. You know what? Let me tell you something. Sometimes, most of the time, we want what we can't have, right? And then once you got it, you don't want it. There's a lot of people who have a lot of conflict on Thanksgiving Day that are sitting around this meal with conflict with their family, thinking, boy, I sure do wish I could just be alone right now. So, hey, even being alone, you can count your blessings. I know a lot of people would probably switch places with you. But I think that is such a bad habit, when the whole grass is greener on the other side, where we look at someone else's family or someone else's uh, table or meal or pictures, and we think, oh, I wish that was my life. And hey, they just might be looking at your life and thinking, I wish that was my life. But it's important to just be grateful wherever you are, no matter the circumstance. So if you would like to call and ask me a question about your specific situation and circumstance, give me a call, 817-637-2585. Be happy to help you. Again, 817-637-2585. And maybe I can help you get ready for your Thanksgiving meal. Let's see. This one says, I'm on a diet and I want to break it for Thanksgiving meal. Do you think that I should or not? You know what? That's a good question. I think that it's okay. I would. I think it's a great thing called a holiday diet. That means that you can watch your weight every other day of the year, but on a holiday, take a break. But you have to understand, look, every day is not a holiday. So I think what happens is we get on a really good roll about, okay, roll, no pun intended, right? Okay. We get like, if we are doing very good calorie counting or just being no fat, no sugar, or low fat, low sugar, and low carbs, or high protein, or whatever. Maybe you're a vegetarian. My brother's a vegetarian. I think it's really important that if you want to have a full holiday meal, because it would bring you joy and it would bring honor to the cooks, and maybe you are the cook, but it would be honored to the host or the hostess. Then yes, then by all means eat your holiday meal, but then remember, the holiday's over. And I had a good friend who, she actually created a book called The Holiday Diet, and what she did was she would give herself a holiday and a free day on the holiday, but not on any other day. And so she ended up losing 200 pounds, over 200 pounds, and she kept it off for 30 years. And so she truly did shift her mindset. And that's what it is. It's a matter of shifting your mindset. I think that people just need to understand that whatever you put in your mouth, you're going to have evidence of it at some point. But it's okay, because it's going to come off if you don't do that every single day. So just remind yourself every day is not a holiday. But yes, I'm taking a break and I'm going to be eating lots of carbs and lots of sugar on Thanksgiving Day. But I will fill up first with my turkey and the greens, okay? The turkey and the greens and the food the veggies, okay? Fill up on that first, and then of course you can get your carbs and fill in with all those, because we have to have at least a little bit of the mashed potatoes and stuffing and rolls and sweet potatoes and all the good stuff. I just love all the good stuff, and especially pumpkin pie and walnut pie. So anyway, y'all, this is a great week. Be thankful, be grateful. Your attitude impacts the people around you. And most importantly, it's in your own best interest to have a good attitude, right? It's in your own best interest to have a good attitude. And so if you've got a critical spirit, trade that for a caring spirit, okay? If you've got a spirit that is a complainer, trade the complaining for gratitude. If you've got a spirit of someone who likes to argue, trade that for a spirit of being agreeable. Look, everything is a trade off. Okay. You can't be content and frustrated at the same time. So I think you want to be content. It's not in your best interest to be frustrated. So this is a week to begin practicing these things and to bring your good attitude right there to your Thanksgiving meal right there. And I do hope that you sit down. I hope that everybody understands the importance of sitting down at a set table. This is the time, guys. Set your table. Do it in advance. Now's the time. My table's already set. And that way you can have a meal with eye-to-eye, face-to-face contact, because really, it's not just all about the food, is it? Really, it's about the relationships. Do you know that this is your purpose? Did you ever wonder, what is my purpose in life? Your purpose is relationships. That's right. Jesus boiled down the Gospels to say, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So relationship with God, with yourself, and with others, that is your purpose in life. So God bless you today. Thank you for joining me on The Her Show. Hey, if you didn't call, plan to call next time. I'd love to visit with you. You are wonderful, and I'm just happy to help. So I'll see you next week. Hugs and high fives.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because